Bro, what? Infinity Train Book 3 has been the grittiest season yet, full of death and harsh prejudices. Following around two of the scummiest characters Infinity Train has given us thus far was sure to lead to some heinous acts, but nothing could have prepared me for the devastating nature of the last 2 episodes of Book 3. I want to jump right into my analysis of Episode 9, The Origami Car, but I of course have to give a shout out to our patrons. This wouldn't be possible without you guys, so thank you all so much. I'm going to be spoiling the rest of Book 3 of Infinity Train in this video. If you don't want any knowledge of potential plots or haven't seen Book 3 yet, I highly suggest you click off now. The Origami Car kicks the final 2 episodes off strong. The emotional weight of the episode is thrown at us immediately with Hazel's decision to leave Grace and Simon. I think that Grace knows that Hazel going with Amelia is the right thing for her to do, but Grace tries one more time to manipulate Hazel to bring her back.
Hazel, you're sticking with us.
I don't want to go with you.
Huh?
This is obviously a selfish thing for Grace to try and do, considering Simon would literally throw Hazel to the wheels as soon as he got a chance. Grace has really assumed motherhood over Hazel in almost a toxic way. The idea of Grace wanting to keep guardianship over Hazel makes me kinda sick, seeing that Grace knows how much Simon hates denizens. I do think that Grace was trying to do what she thought was the right thing, and when Hazel says no to her, it breaks Grace's heart. She's come to love Hazel like a daughter at this point, and her newfound empathy for denizens really shines through at this point. She weeps for Hazel as the train cars separate them, confirming that Grace really has gained a ton of empathy through this season. The juxtaposition between Grace and Simon's body language and facial expressions goes far to contrast how these characters have changed since meeting Hazel. Grace has found empathy for the ones she once neglected, while Simon becomes more radicalized against the denizens. This contrast really shows itself when Grace steps around the delicate origami birds, while Simon goes out of his way to stomp them out. Rude. Simon begins acting like a total tool, and in his aggressive argument with Grace, he attempts to trap her in her own tape. This ruthless act from Simon starts a long-awaited deep dive into Grace's past. So real jerk move, Simon, but also thanks, because I wanted to see this. The tape starts with a sequence of the events leading up to Grace's eventual boarding of the Infinity Train. She has a recital which her busy parents don't show up to, she's dissed by her fellow ballerinas at the ice cream parlor, then she uses her manipulating abilities to diss them right back, getting the gaggle of girls to begin infighting. Present Grace looks pretty guilty about her actions then, showing a great improvement of Grace's character since this moment. After that, we find a young Grace dolling herself up for a party. Her mother deems it excessive and asks one of her many faceless assistants to take Grace to a movie before she embarrasses her. I think these people don't have faces or bodies because they were never important to Grace. Although these individuals probably spent a lot of quality time with Grace, she doesn't put a face to them because she didn't appreciate that time. It's clear that she only sought that kind of parental bonding with her parents, something she never really got. If you have a different interpretation of these faceless people, let me know in the comments because I'm not sure how close my guess is. During this part of the tape, it seems like Grace has no knowledge that she's in a tape at all.
What is happening?
I'm surprised at the notion that she's never been inside a tape before, but I suppose her and the Apex aren't ones for self-reflecting. Grace then stumbles upon the memory of her boarding the Infinity Train. This scene actually gives us a new look at the train and how it beckons passengers to board it. Young Grace is at a low point in her life. She begins shoplifting with her friends, as many troubled children with neglected needs tend to do. After her parents fail to hear her side of the story, Grace realizes that her parents will never meet her needs. Thus, the Infinity Train appears, this time decked out in white paint, looking more like a luxury vehicle than the train seen picking up Tulip. The idea that the train will change its appearance to appeal to the passenger it wants to pick up is honestly pretty sinister. I know that the train Amelia was picked up by looked different, but I figured that was due to when she was picked up, which was over 30 years ago. Now we know for sure that the train changes its appearance to try to get its victims to board it. Ooh, creepy. After Grace watches her younger self board the train, Simon appears next to her as if he's been there the whole time. He expresses what he thinks the reason the train picks up passengers is.
The train knew you were wasted in the real world. It gave you a chance to go somewhere you'd be respected.
This line gives us interesting context to the way Simon views the train. He seems to view it almost as a deity, a being that handpicks individuals to give them a chance at greatness, away from a world that was holding them down. This perception of the train makes total sense for Simon's character, especially when you take the events of the new Apex into account. Surely he's always dreamed of ascending the ranks until he became the leader. Grace asks Simon if he's responsible for these flashbacks, but is interrupted by one of her first moments on the train. This memory has been heavily tampered with through the years due to Grace's embellishment of it to the other kids. Once Grace reverts the memory back to its original form, I feel as though this was Simon's true tipping point. He doesn't trust Grace anymore, and he's lost trust in everyone else around him. Although Simon's a complete and utter murderer jerk, it's still really hard to watch his descent into madness. We then get to see the first time Grace and Simon met. We get to see the cat's departure from Simon and how Grace comforts him afterwards. This moment accidentally starts the Apex's drive to raise their numbers, as Simon mistakes Grace's higher number as a good thing.
How'd you get it so high?
Oh, I'm like really good at the train.
And I have to point something out that I haven't really seen anyone else talking about yet. When Simon is crying for the cat's help, you can hear some incredibly muffled audio that doesn't even show up on the subtitles. Listen closely.
I can't fit! Smith, I'm still out here! Help! I can't fit! Smith, I'm still out here! Help!
That sounds like the cat to me. I believe that the cat had every intention to find Simon, but it was too dangerous for her to leave the boxes. Once she was finally able to exit the car, Simon was long gone. It's a tragically complex situation that neither party has handled perfectly. It's a great piece of conflict. Moving on, it looks like it may have taken a few years for the pair to start donning the conductor's wave symbol. They're definitely a bit older in the shot of them playing Chubby Bunny, which is the first time we see them bearing the symbol. We then get to see one of their first recruitment attempts, which, if I'm getting this right, seems to have only been like a year or two ago. I believe this to be one of their first because the mall car is pretty quiet, and it's not totally trashed like it is now. It looks like Grace and Simon set up a little blanket fort in the Dad's Hair Club for Boys store. Simon's hair isn't much longer than it is now, and the two's bodies look almost identical to the way they do now. Owen Dennis and Madeline Carey Pell recently confirmed that Grace and Simon are 18, which they look pretty close to at this point. The idea that the Apex could have gone from a handful of troublemakers to a well-known group of apathetic pillagers in only a year or two is a little surprising, but then again, not everyone on the train knows them. No denizens recognize them throughout the book except for the cat, so I guess it's feasible that they've really only been a group for 1 or 2 years. Maybe 3, but that's pushing it in my opinion. Judging by Grace's number at this point, I have to assume that the full-on raids of the train cars haven't started yet. Sure, her number's pretty high, but it's nowhere close to her number in her first appearance. The congregation of the Apex must have led to her number skyrocketing, seeing as she was manipulating a group of child soldiers to destroy train cars and harm or kill denizens. That'll do it! After this, Simon seemingly controls where Grace's tape goes. Either that or the tape is responding to Grace's statement.
I wasn't lying!
We just won't tell Sina, okay?
Regardless, this is where Simon really starts to get in her head. Simon shows up in a new, gigantic form, symbolizing how much more powerful and in charge Simon feels. He states that Grace has failed as a leader and gone against the Apex's core values. We then get a look at what someone stuck inside a tape looks like. Grace pretty much looks dead, which is only exemplified when Simon tips her over and she lifelessly hits the ground. His number has reached his neck at this point, implying that this heinous betrayal has pushed his number to places the Apex has never seen. It still hasn't spread to his left arm at this point, confirming that numbers start on the right arm and spread across the body from there, instead of the commonly thought idea that it would jump to the left arm once the right arm was full. I'm not sure why Simon decided to ditch the 1-1 lice, seeing as they're a really powerful tool. Maybe Simon still had some shred of sanity in him at this point? Maybe he regrets looking at Grace's memories and never wants that power to be used again. That doesn't seem to line up with Simon's power-hungry character, but it's a possibility. The last shot of the episode is of Grace laying lifeless, while that haunting lie keeps repeating itself.
Just won't tell Sina, okay?
The Origami Car was a wild ride from start to finish. Getting the payoff of Grace's backstory plus seeing Simon's betrayal worked so well. I intended to analyze both the Origami Car and the new Apex in one video, but splitting it up is probably for the best. So stay tuned for my thoughts on the new Apex. Cause, that one's a little nuts. And of course, thank you so much for watching. If you haven't subscribed to Cartoon Universe yet, be sure to do so by clicking that big red button. Ring that bell to never miss an upload. And if you liked hearing my voice, head over to my channel, CritNick. Consider subscribing if you like watching random men on the internet play video games. I know I do. And I'm also on Twitter at CritNickYT. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you all next time for another Infinity Train breakdown. Choo choo! Did I really just say that?